this time of age. There's so many things that are happening in the world that are portraying Islam in a very negative light. And I think as a Muslim, for myself, it's important to really try to understand what the Quran is saying, and also to follow the steps of Prophet Muhammad SAW, to follow his Sunnah, to be able to try to be a better Muslim and to be a good representative of Islam as well. I don't think I'd be able to represent Islam the best way that I can if I didn't go out to really understand the Quran and the Sunnah of our Prophet SAW. So I think it's very important for a Muslim, each Muslim, to really go out and seek this knowledge and to really have that as part of their life. So who knows? Maybe in the future we can actually be good representatives. If anyone were to ask us certain questions, maybe perhaps we'll be able to answer in a really good way, and also to really kind of fight with this negativity that's happening in the media. We'll be able to answer, we'll be able to give the right information, since sometimes the media does say the wrong thing sometimes, but that knowing, that understanding is, I think, really, really important.
When I first started to learn more about Islam, I read about an ayat in the Quran that mentioned about Muslims being the middle nation. It is really interesting to listen to the explanation from an expert in comparative religion.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this declaration in the Quran that Muslims are meant to be the middle nation. And the Ummatan Wasata is interesting because the term Ummah, community, Wasata, in the middle there means that there is a right to the middle and there is a left to the middle. Okay, so you're not alone. So that means you will have more than one nation, but Islam is meant to be the middle nation when it has balance. So one of the meanings of this, of course, is if we look at the earlier religious traditions. So before Islam we had, for example, the religion of Christianity, which was brought, as Muslims believe, by Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. And in another even earlier religious tradition, the religion of Judaism, which was brought by Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So one way that Islam is in the middle of these two religious traditions of both Judaism and Christianity is in the way that Islam has been able to combine the best aspects of the Christian tradition and the best aspects of the Jewish tradition. And that's why Muslims believe that the Prophet ﷺ is the Khatimun Nabiyyin, is the seal and the final messenger of God. But he is a seal and the final messenger of God in a chain of prophets. He is not the first, but he is the last, but he cannot have been the last without the earlier missions. So this is why there is the importance of the other religious traditions and how Islam managed to balance the different traditions. In the case of Christianity, Muslims have always seen Prophet Jesus alayhi salam to be the prophet of the heart par excellence. So the prophet of Allah who best exemplified matters of the heart, the matters of tasawwuf, of spirituality. Whereas Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Moses alayhi salam, was indeed seen to be by Muslims as the prophet of the law par excellence. So the prophet that best represents that, if you like, that bodily tradition, that legal tradition there. So in the history of religions, you have, at least this is how Muslims see it, when we have in the religion of Judaism, which was brought by Prophet Musa alayhi salam, there came a time when our Jewish brothers, for example, and sisters became too fixed with the law. They concentrate too much on the body, on the law, at the expense of the spirit. Muslim scholars say that this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God sent Jesus alayhi salam in order to reform the Jewish religion, right? So the mission of Jesus alayhi salam is, in a sense, an attempt to spiritualize the law. to remind them that to go back to the original motives why and what was taught by Moses alayhi salam there. Some say, and indeed that the Christians, in this case, especially those following St. Paul, had gone too far on the spiritualization project to the point that they jettisoned the law. Right? So, and that's when Christians then stop circumcising, for example, and stop following the laws of kosher, for instance, what we call halal, for example, in Islamic tradition. So this is why the mission of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is done in such a way that he came to bring balance between the two religions there. So in Islam, you're meant to bring the two together, both the spirit and the law. Yet, today, we have Muslims who, I'm afraid, have not achieved that balance. And clearly we have Muslims today who concentrate and focus more on the law at the expense of their spirit.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around. I mean, you can have the so-called, maybe hippie Sufis, maybe, or, you don't need to learn anything about the law, but just join in the dhikr and the meditation, and that's all they do, but they don't pray, for example, let's say. So that's an example where, the spirit is important at the expense of the law. Yeah. Now, both are two extremes, but both are more or less on the path. So I think they're both to be encouraged, by the way, but we need to encourage them to moderate more towards the middle way. So we don't live in this world alone. This is the basic message of the Ummatan Wasatan. This is not paradise. This is not Jannah yet. We are still in this dunya. So we have other people, the other Ummahs are with us as well. So that's why we want to position ourselves as the middle Ummah, the middle nation, the middle position there, precisely because there are other positions out there. And the way to do that is to be a balanced Ummah. So to take the best of the other nations, and that's the beauty of our Islamic tradition.
Our principle is actually not to put down other people's gods.